right. I'm calling the meeting. This is the Conservation Commission of Fairfield, Connecticut Inland Wetlands Agency, and it's the meeting of Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022 at 7 p.m. And let's see who's here. Thomas is chair. Dabney, I think I saw.
She's there. Yep.
Dabney, okay. She's on the computer. Richard Shea is here. Carolyn P is here. Brian McCann. Dave Fain. Good. And I think I saw Amanda as an alternate there. And Peter is here. Very good.
Could you speak up, please?
Yeah. That. Okay. So I had just opened the meeting and I took a roll call for all the members that are here. And now I'm going to start the meeting and go to Roman numeral number 3 on our agenda.
Are you appointing any?
2. Nope.
No.
Oh, wait a minute. I can do that. Right? How many are?
Did you have-
7. We have 2.
Have
Yeah,
these 7
Let's go.
is what we can have, so many,
5.
I think it's like
1. So well, I'll appoint Peter Hood as a member for today's meeting. And I will move on to Roman number 3, bills and communications. A, approval of meeting minutes of February 2, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Motion, and seconded by Peter. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I don't know, I abstained, so it's not that.
Okay. You're not at that meeting.
I wasn't.
Okay, then, well, it's okay, because it's not really, we can approve it just by, wasn't anything, so it's approved.
Oh.
Okay. Number 4, letter B, approval of recording secretary's bill for February 2nd, 2022. I'll entertain a motion to approve the bill. Motion, second. In favor? Sarah, are you catching all of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Roman numeral 4, inland wetlands legal enforcement action. Number 1, show cause violation hearing, cease and correct order, 615 Burrows Road, Luis O. Fonseca and Andreas Roca Barbosa, Assessors Map 76, Parcel 164, deposition of construction material and deposition relating to regrading and driveway expansion without a wetlands permit and failure to implement sediment and erosion control measures within a regulated area. Staff recommends upholding cease and correct order. Mr. Fonseca. Ms. Barbosa. Anybody? If anybody who is, if Mr. Fonseca or Ms. Barbosa, if you are online viewing us, could you in the chat box indicate that you're there and you'll be able to speak to us? There's nothing there, is that correct? Well, is there a motion to uphold the cease and correct order?
I just have a comment I'd like to make. I'd like everyone to realize that Director Tim Bishop has reached out on this issue 4 times in writing, going back to September.
Okay,
So I want to be sure that that's in the record.
So we'll do the motion, second, and then in the comments, you can make those comments. Would you like to make a motion then
Yes.
to uphold the cease and correct order? Can I
Yeah.
get a second of that? Jerry, okay? Any discussion about it?
No, just again to mention that the town has done diligently trying to resolve this, reached out to the participants 4 times.
Okay, so they,
Holding it as correct.
they have, okay.
What is Tim recommend?
I would recommend to uphold. I think we've, Rick said, been diligent with our pursuit. I met with the property owner once, if not twice, at our counter. I was back in, I would say, October. All of my written correspondence has gone unanswered since.
Yep.
So I would recommend to the agency pursuing legal enforcement action with the town attorney and going from there.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion upholding cease and correct order? Dabney's, you saw Dabney back?
I saw it.
Okay. Hi, Dabney. Okay. All right.
There's a delay.
Now, Roman numeral 5, inland wetlands deliberative session, A, old business, number 1, IWPA 2021-22-02, COP 180 Catamount Road, Assessors Maps 217, parcel 22, construct new dwelling, driveway, and subsurface sewage disposal system within a regulated area. A regular time frame. Last day public hearing or decision is January 6, 2022. Last regular meeting prior to January 5th is January 5th, 2022. However, this was continued the consent of the applicant, and that's why we're here today. Staff recommends approval with conditions. I'll have the applicant speak.
Commissioner, members of the board, finally, I think I'm the first one in Fairfield to speak at a public hearing in person since what, 2019? Cool, nerve-wracking. James Zumo, Land Surveying Services. We did the site planning out here along with engineer Hem Kona. Start off. We had some comments on Monday about a footing drain discharge. And since the plan had been adjusted to show that footing drain discharge, so I have new plans that I'd like to submit that.
Are those different than the ones that we
Yeah.
have? Okay.
Correct, they are.
Please bring them up. There you go. Well
Yeah.
prepared and everything. Um, Um, staff doesn't have it.
Yeah, the only thing that changed, the level spreader got 10 feet bigger and there's one more pipe going into it. So nothing
Well,
significant.
that was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
So,
Really nothing significant.
but when everybody has the map, you can explain what the difference is, because one of our
Yeah.
commissioners, is not here, or two actually, an alternate as well. And I know we received the prior map.
Yeah, I'll explain all the changes from the initial meeting when we continue to now.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for supplementing the map.
Yep. All right, so the first time we met, we had some comments from Mr. Fain, since me and Mr. Fain and Bill Kenny, the wetland scientist for the project, who did the planting plan, did the wetland flagging out here. We met out in the field, did some reflagging of some wetlands, relocated those wetlands, and we got to this plan right now. The original plan had I'm going to start from the top down with the septic system to the dwelling. So the original plan had a septic system in the back that was split into two separate fields. We since combined that, made it smaller, made it fit within a smaller footprint, so we're not disturbing as much land on the back portion of the property. me and John over at the, John Oldham over at the health department went over the plan. Health department's all good with the plan. They approved everything that we did with the change there. Coming back down on our crossing of the wetlands, which was the main aspect of this project. What we did over here, we didn't change anything except we added a separate 6-inch sleeve. So we have two 20-foot 6-inch sleeves crossing the wetlands. So in the event in the future that something does happen to the force main from the septic pump chamber, we won't have to do the extensive excavation of the wetland area. We'll just be able to re-sleeve a force main and not really affect the wetlands whatsoever. The next thing that we did, another main thing, was the drainage on the house. We switched the galleys over to 12-inch galleys. Originally, we had 4-inch galleys. Switched them to 12-inch and split the whole system up as much apart across the site as we could. Me and Laura Pooley, the PE, the assistant town engineer over at the town, had multiple meetings about it, went over it, switched the plans up. We nearly reduced all of the grading back of the property by the wetlands. We split some of the system from the front to the side over here. We added retaining walls so that we were reducing the grading going back there. We could just put a wall in and grade up to it. We added level spreaders for outflow to make sure that one, our footing drains were going downhill, and two, any overflow was going back out into where it originally was flowing to. The next thing that we did is with one of our meetings with Laura, we incorporated a berm in the southwestern section of the property. That berm is to prevent any runoff going down Catamount Road. The grading in the front is going to push the water in the southwest direction. That berm is going to capture that water, put it into a yard drain, and then discharge it back to the back of the property. Driveway, we made sure the driveway had plenty of pitch going out to the road, and we have two catch basins, two original catch basins out in the front. Well, the systems are much larger, but we reduced the height of the systems by half. That's the main aspects of it. There is a significant amount of fill being put on the site to make sure that the house is up, driveway's pitching out. That's the main thing with the cut and fill. Other than that, that's pretty much the bulk of the changes that were made. The changes on the revised plan that I just handed out, in the back, I didn't show a footing drain discharge. I have the footings pretty high up so that they're above the foot, as much above the water as we possibly could, or mottling. And that footing drain is going out to a 20-foot level spreader for one of the discharges from the one of the drain systems. If there's any questions on anything that would like to be, asked, I'm here, commissioners.
I have a bunch of comments and questions. Please. First of all, thank you very much. I think this is a really big improvement over the last plan, so I wanted to thank you for that.
Mhm.
I have some more comments. I'm not trying to defer the project. I think it's good. I just think there's a few other tweaks that I'd like to see made. So starting with the back of the septic, I think this is a much better improvement, bigger improvement to have it all together. However, I'd like to see you break the silt fence closer to where your area of disturbance is rather than all the way around the edge of the property. Have it on my plan. That's a very nice meadow back there. I'd like to see that, at least part of it remain as meadow as part of mitigation for what your project is showing. Also, regarding the water line, I see that you're going to be relocating probably the entire water line. It shows part of it, but typically a contractor would relocate the whole thing. It's probably 50 years old and not in good shape. Again, I don't have any, I can't force you, but I would encourage you to consider the Aquarian water connection in the long term. I think it's a much better solution for the property owner. I know the well meets code, but it also is very close to the septic system. And now would be the time to do it if you wanted to connect to Aquarian, because in the future, I don't want to see you come back with another application, bring a water line to the rear of the property when it could have been done now. I think it's feasible. It's alternatives to do it now. So I'd like you to consider that. I'm happy to hear that you went through all the drainage with Laura. I didn't have a chance to be part of that, so I can't comment. I did notice that some of your Coltex in the rear of the property are pretty close to the water table location, within a few inches. Has that all been compensated for? And are you looking to do any infiltration with these, or is this going to be all storage?
It's gonna be all storage, and anything beyond that is gonna be, overflowed out to the level spreader.
There's a couple of mistakes on your call outs on the bottom of the galley elevation in two locations. There's 257.29, I think it is. I assume that's incorrect, since everything else is way below that, 249.
Yeah, which one, the front or the rear one?
The rear ones, both of them have an elevation, the bottom of galley elevation, 257.29 and 257 point, I can't read that, but I assume that's incorrect. Need my glasses.
Yep, that should be 47.
Okay, so
Yeah, that should be 47. That'll be adjusted.
I just
Yeah.
call your attention to that, and that
Yep.
needs to be changed. I'd like to see, I don't know how everybody else feels it, but I think right now you're calling for a 2-foot buffer to the wetland. I'd like to see that increased to incorporate the plantings that Bill Kenny proposed, so that the buffer would be at the top of the slope. And the swip rail fence that you propose would incorporate the buffer planting. I think that makes sense, and we'd have at least a minimum of a 10-foot buffer between the.
So keep the split rail in front of the buffer.
Bring it to the front. I mean, it makes sense. You
Yeah,
want to protect the plantings, and you want to keep that area as a buffer rather than lawn, so I like to see that. And then the only other comment I have is you have two sets of plans. Haven't been in this, you have the Bill Kenny plan and your sets of plans. Haven't been in this business for a long time. I know contractors don't always know that there's two plans. Sometimes they'll work from one plan. I'd like to see one, maybe second plan, maybe at page 2 or somehow sort of construction set. Yeah. I think that would make a lot of sense, and that way it wouldn't get, you have a contractor working from one plan in the field and not having to privy to this other information.
Just so matter of reference, Bill Kenny is on the phone. He's on WebEx. So if there's any questions on the planting plan or buffer.
The only question, he had shown, he didn't show the split rail fence. He just showed a deer fence on his. So I'd like to get that split rail fence brought to the front, shown on both plans, and maybe on your plan, just reference a Bill Kenny plan in terms of the buffer.
Okay. All right, yeah, that's perfectly fine with us.
I think that's it for me.
So that was a few things that I think might be in addition to what staff had recommended. So when we do the motion, I'd like for that to be in there, or you can.
I'll try to articulate.
Articulate it so that Terry can do it, so we know what we're voting on.
Absolutely.
Before we go to that, does anybody else have any questions for either here live or on the Zoom? Anybody have any questions? Okay. I'll then entertain a motion to. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve with conditions. This was done with conditions from the staff. Just had a conversation with Commissioner Fain. Would you like to articulate the things that you would like to be included in the motion? So then it would be an amended motion that we would be voting on. Everyone is clear.
I guess the first item is I like the silt fence in the rear of the property be located in the vicinity of the septic to incorporate the area that will be disturbed for the installation of the septic system, the force main, and the relocated water line, and the rest of the area in the rear to be maintained as meadow, maybe mowed twice a year. Second item was, and again, I think this is an encouragement rather than
Well, this has to be a motion, so the applicant knows what they're doing.
right, okay. So we'll leave out the water line aspect of it, because But I do, I just want the record to reflect that we did discuss it and then.
Yeah, I'll encourage it. Yep.
And we want to have the minimum of 10-foot buffer between the wetland and the house side on the property, and the split rail fence that you're proposing to be incorporated on the top of that 10 feet. Provide at least a 10-foot buffer between the wetlands and the disturbance and lawn area. Did I miss
So
anything?
that's a minimum 10-foot buffer between the wetlands and the house or the fence. on the house.
Wetland would be the
The edge of
the
the
wetland and the plantings and then the split rail fence and minimum of 10 feet.
10 feet of plantings or 10 feet between the plantings and the house.
10 feet between the wetland, the top of the fence and the.
Okay.
wetlands.
I'd like to also add
Yeah.
that a new set of plans with conditions be sent to staff as well.
That,
Fine with me. Yeah.
so there's a motion on the floor. You've heard what the additions are, the last one being the new set of plans.
Yeah.
Is the applicant okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with submitting new sets of plans. That's perfectly fine with me.
So we have.
Correct elevation.
With the
With the
correct-
correct
the
elevation.
corrections, we're doing, okay. Yeah, we all understand the motion that's before us. This is for the IWPA 2021-22-02, COP 180 Catamount Road. It's the motion, the additions.
That- that can come.
Dabney, do you have any comments? No, okay. So then,
She's trying to talk.
Dabney's speaking, but she's on mute.
okay. Star six. Dabney, if you can hear us, star six, on mute.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right, I just wanted to get some clarity on the setback because the disturbance area is going to be beyond the, proposed dwelling. So if we're giving 10 feet, is that 10 feet from the corner of the building or 10 feet from the disturbance area during construction?
It's meant to be a buffer post-construction between the lawn area, the maintained area of the property and the wetland.
Right, but I'm talking about during construction.
It's
Because
pretty
the
much
disturbance
disturbed
area
now.
will likely go,
Right now, they're throwing the silt fence pretty much along the edge of the wetland line, and I assume that there's going to be some disturbance within that 10 feet for the installation of their level spreaders and some grading.
The plantings and all that.
exactly. So I just want to make sure that we're clear that that will go in, the disturbance area will go into the wetlands initially. If everyone's okay with that.
Nothing's going into the wetlands. We're going within 2 feet of the wetlands with our disturbances. Then,
Right, sorry.
at the end, that
Right.
10-foot buffer with silt fence will be installed.
Right, so, sorry, what I mean is, do we want to push the silt fence back far? That's what I'm getting at. Because of the disturbance area, do we want to give a greater buffer for the disturbance area before the silt fence during construction and then keep it there? Or do we feel like that's a sufficient buffer? Just putting it out there. Just want to make sure that we're clear. Because right now we have a 12-foot maximum area, right?
Yeah, right now,
By the
right
way-
now, the silt fence is 12 feet off of the edge of the wetland. Then there would be, inside of that silt fence would be the 10-foot buffer, and then it would be the wetlands. So I think the silt fence where it is right now is fine, because we're gonna have to install a bunch of plantings, the level spreaders, and there's,
Right.
so just to keep everything from going in the wetlands. Until everything is stabilized.
I think that's reasonable and rational as long as the silt fence is maintained
Yeah.
throughout the construction process.
It's a double silt fence too. I mean, there's no reason that's gonna, the slope's not that great out there. It's just, precautionary.
Right. Okay.
We okay, Deb?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, let me get it seconded and then I can have any discussion.
Did Jay make the motion? Made the motion.
Jay made the
You
motion.
made the motion with your-
Would anybody like to second them? Okay. So now we have discussion. You're done and
Hold on.
were you?
Yes, I'm good with the conditions, yes, as well as the staff.
Commissioners, any other questions to the applicant? Okay, anybody here would like to speak from the public in opposing the application?
Well, this isn't a public hearing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh.
this isn't a public hearing.
This is, no. Public hearing was January 5th.
No, there was no public.
Oh, yeah, there was none. There was.
so then we just vote. Then, okay,
Yeah.
my mistake. Well, if it's not a public hearing, I don't,
Okay, it's not a public hearing.
You could take comment.
I can take comment?
It's up to
Okay.
you.
It's
Would
at
you
your
like to
discretion.
do a comment?
If I may.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport, the law offices of Green and Gross. It's my pleasure to appear before you this evening on behalf of Joseph Worthington, who is the owner of a budding property at 230 Catamount Road. I just want to note that the agenda indicates that this matter is down under old business as a deliberative session. And I don't know whether it was, that was an oversight. I had contacted the department today and was informed that there would be no comment allowed on the item. I note that the applicant has been repeatedly permitted to address the commission. And we, noting that it was a deliberative session, we had previously submitted letters into the record from Alan Shepard of Nowakowski, Beamichow and Kane, and George Logan of Rima Ecological Services. I understood from the notice on the agenda that public comment would not be permitted, so I have not brought them with me this evening. And so we would ask that this matter be held open because it appears that contrary to the way the matter was noticed, there has been a comment allowed by the applicant, and this has been conducted sort of in the context of a public hearing with input from the applicant. And it seems to me that the public should have a full and fair opportunity to provide input on the matter to the same extent as the applicant. So I just want to put that request out there to keep the matter open. We are, in my view, unfairly hindered here in presenting on this application without an opportunity and without the matter being properly noticed. So I make that request of this commission.
Thank you for addressing the commission. The applicant, my feeling is that the applicant's been answering questions that the commissioners have had. I don't think it's been a open public hearing. I did make a mistake believing that it was just this moment, but it wasn't even back then. It was the applicant, the staff, and the commissioners then asking the applicant questions, which the applicant then revised their plans. And I think that's what was in front of us. It was not I don't believe it was determined from the beginning to be a significant event, so that wouldn't prompt a public hearing. I think the process would have needed to have either some sort of petition or something from the beginning to bring it to a public hearing level application. That hasn't happened. I think at this point we have the motion. The motion's been seconded. We've had this discussions. You made it clear, and we did receive any letter that we received. The staff gives to us, and we have it in our on the record, and when we take it into consideration. I think at this point now, we can only vote on the motion that's in front of us. So if
I would only comment that the plan has been modified, new materials have been submitted, and the public has not had an opportunity to comment on it while the applicant has had a full opportunity to make a presentation. I'll just note that to the record.
noted to the record, thank you. Thank you. Commissioners, any further questions? Then the motion with the staff recommendations, with additions by Commissioner Fain. All in favor of the applicant, please raise your hand. Dabney's raised her hand, okay. So the motion, yeah, that passes, so please do what you have to do with the additional information.
Absolutely. As soon as I get all that stuff, the plans will be revised. Thank you.
We're now on E, new business. 1, request for fee waiver on CW 22-100 for Theodore and Helene Winchell for storm drain pipe repairs at 210 Lindermere Lane. Let's see attached, but Tim, would you like to explain?
This is one piece of a greater project. It's a two-pronged project. In this sense, the discussion with town engineering, conservation departments, and the first select woman's office, as well as council, related to pipe repair adjacent to the garage at 210 Lindermere. The informal agreement to avoid setting precedent of doing drainage repairs on private property was due to the fact that the cul-de-sac at Lindermere Lane drainage depends on the pipe running through the Winchell's parcel without an easement. So to make that repair, the town agreed to provide the pipe and to get this project done. Discussion was to have fee waived. Had that not been on private property or easement, this would have just been a simple town engineering or DPW project with no fee anyway. So just to formalize that fact of the fee waiver, this memo from me and executed by the first select woman was generated.
Okay.
So as a formality, I have to present that to a vote to the agency for approval.
Very good. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion that we approve the fee waiver for Theodore and Helene Winchell at 210 Windermere Lane.
I'll make a motion.
Motion? Anybody second? Second? All in favor? Deb. Okay. I'm going to move the monthly wetland business update for the agency to the end so we can move forward. If that's okay with everybody, I'm going to do that. Okay. 6 new applications. Formal acceptance and start of 65-day legal time frame, determination of application significance fee, and scheduling of public hearing if necessary, and or decision on the application. 1. WP-22-101, Town of Fairfield, 225 Melville Ave, Constance Park, Assessors Map 42, Parcel 48, construction of a berm and outlet control structure to create a detention area for flood mitigation within a regulated area. Application type insignificant. Public hearing petition received as no. Petition period ends 3/16/22. In public interest, yes. Last day for public hearing and decision is May 6, 2022. Last regular meeting prior is April 4th, 2022. Staff recommends scheduling a public hearing for April 6th or May 4th of this year. Which one should we do? April 6th? Everybody's good with that? April 6th? April 6th. Okay, so let's schedule a public hearing for April 6th. Next one is number 2. Sarah, you okay?
Yep. Was that just a unanimous consent?
Yeah, that was just by unanimous consent. I don't think we need anything. Just, yeah. WP 22-102, City of Bridgeport, 2390 Eastern Turnpike, Fairchild Wheeler Golf Course. Assessors map 11, parcel 2, construction of 2 detention areas for flood mitigation within a regulated area. Application type significant, public hearing, petition received, no. Petition period ends 3/16/22. Public hearing in the public interest, yes. Last day for public hearing or decision is May 6th, 2022. Last regular meeting prior to the 4th. Staff recommends schedule a public hearing again for April 6th or May 4th. Let's put that on April 6th as well.
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead.
We get a permission letter from the city of Bridgeport yet?
That's not been received yet.
But Laura said she's getting it. They've had multiple talks about it.
Will that be in it?
That, I guess, it's
Let's do May 4th on this one to give the city of Bridgeport time, just in case. Is that okay?
We don't really have a complete application, so
We don't,
technically we have that, right?
We have
We don't have an
public hearing,
without it.
full application.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Great.
Not just for thought.
Yeah.
What is it that we're missing?
Should we schedule a public hearing?
Signature from the city of Bridgeport.
Fairchild Wheeler Golf Course, so it's the town uses it, but the city of Bridgeport technically.
Probably an MOU somewhere.
If we don't get the signature, we don't hold the hearing.
Engineering's working on getting that.
Schedule the hearing.
Yeah.
Oh, schedule for May if we don't have it.
If we don't know, we don't go.
Scheduled for May. Well, maybe we should do this by motion. Somebody, I'll entertain a motion by somebody to schedule this hearing for May 4th with a condition that Bridgeport put.
The fact it's not there,
That we don't.
Delay or
Yeah.
reschedule the hearing.
Rick,
Yes, I make that. motion.
second, in favor? Commissioners in favor? Happy? Okay, good. Now number 3, WP 22-106, Fairfield University, 1073 North Benson Road, Assessors Map 143, parcel 160, construction of a new residence hall with associated site improvements within a regulated area. Application type not significant. Public hearing petition received no. Petition period ends 3/16/22. Last day for public hearing and decision, May 6th. Last regular meeting prior is April 4th, 2022. Staff recommends tabling application pending legal notice and departmental review. All in favor of tabling? Tabling? Dabney's up 2. Okay, we're all tabling that. 4, WP 22-107, Town of Fairfield, 880 Morehouse Highway, Lake Mohegan. Assessors map 49, parcel 157, lake dredging and restoration of beach structures, including stairways, sidewalks, and concession building within a regulated area. Application type, significant. Public hearing petition received no. Petition period ends 3/16/22. Is the public hearing in a public interest? Yes. Last day for public hearing or decision is May 6th, 2022. Last regular meeting prior is April 4th, 2022. And staff recommends scheduling a public hearing for April 6th or May 4th. Fairchild Wheeler's May 4th? Yes.
Are they looking to do that this year? Summer.
Yeah, it's being spearheaded by Parks and Rec since it's their jurisdiction. They're still trying to go for Memorial Day opening.
So then
More of the open.
for this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's aggressive.
Well,
And the plans as of yesterday slightly changed. Maybe less invasive and no water entry, but that's.
if we schedule a public hearing for April 6th and then they change the plans, is that okay? We
Yeah, I think they're-
Plans,
Yeah,
as long as we have them? All right, so we'll try to help them out. Move along faster, April 6th. Is that okay for everybody?
I think that's a good idea.
I don't think we need a motion if it's by consent, unanimous consent, Kathy? Or no? Yep, okay. Okay. Now we go. Roman numeral 7, public hearing. IWPA 2021-22-05. Decision may be made if the hearing is completed, or the hearing may be continued. The original 35-day public hearing timeframe to complete the hearing at March 9th, 2022. 65-day time extension may be provided by the applicant. So a further public hearing continuation to May 13, 2022 is possible. Potential continuation date is April 6th, 2022. 1. IWPA 2021-22-05, 4480 Block Rock LLC, 4480 Block Rock Turnpike, Assessor's Map 116, Parcel 3. Construction of a residential multifamily dwelling with associated parking areas, driveway, and stormwater detention systems within a regulated area. Staff recommends continuation of public hearing and submittal of revised plans data for staff to public input, or withdrawal or denial of application.
Chair, Commissioners, good evening. With Russo and Rizio LLC, offices at 10 Sasko Hill Road in Fairfield. Good to be before you in person. It's been a while. Days of doing land use hearings in my sweatpants are coming to an end, but it's good to be back in person. We're going to request a continuance tonight, but I did. We're in receipt of a number of comments. Zoning submitted comments, engineering, staff submitted a number of comments. Before we request that, I did want to see if the commission, before we go towards answering some of those comments, we're getting a geotechnical report. But I wanted to see if there was certain things that the commission also wanted us beyond what was listed in the comments, so we can work on addressing those. If it would help save time for the next hearing. Otherwise, we'll just move forward with addressing the comments that we've received so far, and then be back before you next time for hopefully the full presentation.
The biggest one I think that some of the commissioners have an issue with is Aquarian Water Company, March 1st, provided a letter with some significant issues in there. Have you been provided a copy of it? Or are you aware of it?
I just received the letter today,
Okay.
and so yes, we are in receipt of it, and we'll be reviewing it.
Okay.
Address it.
Very good.
A request.
Yes.
I did walk the site. I noticed that you say the building corners. To me, that's not sufficient. This is a large project. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'd like to see, I think you just stake the 4 cardinal corners. You didn't stake any of the interior of the building. You didn't stake any of the retaining wall. You didn't stake any of the parking. You didn't stake all this, the stormwater. I think that all needs to be staked. And at each stake, I'd like you to put the existing grade and the amount of cut that would be proposed at each one of those grade stakes. So when the commission actually walks the property, they can get a better understanding of what's being proposed in relationship to the site. I had a couple other comments. I don't know if you want me to give them.
Yeah, please. That's what this is.
Commissioner, just before I want to make sure. So retaining walls, parking.
Any salient site feature, you should try to get us some information, but certainly all the I think the building is U-shaped. Each one of those corners, not just the exterior, the interior also, and at each stake, we get a staking plan on A, B, C, D, and then at each stake you would tell us how much cut or fill would be in that location. Yeah. Yeah. The other comment, I have a bunch of other comments, but I will hold some of them in reserve. But I did want to have somebody take a look at the site distance I don't know if that's been looked at yet. And I know it's not a wetland issue, but it may be an issue in terms of degrading and amount of that hillside that has to be laid back, which could impact the wetlands. So I'd like to make sure that site distance is addressed and that there's an adequate platform at the beginning there for a car to stop before entering onto Black Rock Turnpike. Because I think right now it's too steep, you will slide right out onto the road. So that needs to be looked at. So I do have a lot more comments, but I think at this point I'll hold those in reserve until I get your revised plans.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you. Anyone else? I just, for the record, I want, probably have been provided copies of these, but I'd like to read representative letters that we have received from butters in the neighborhood, so you're aware of what many of the issues, not all, but many, of these are representative letters. There's more that we've received and all the commissioners have them. I'm going to read them into the record just so that you're aware and that public knows that we've received them and that they're part of the record. Okay. We have one from Rebecca Seville at 64 Hamilton Court, Fairfield. Dear Fairfield Inland Wetlands Agency, I'm following on your January meeting in which I have participated on your decision to schedule a public hearing for March 2nd. There is a request for you for wetlands permit to build a 150-unit apartment building at the 4480 Black Rock Turnpike. I strongly urge you to deny this permit. The proposed regulated activity on the existing vegetation, wetlands, watercourses, and wildlife will cause significant short and long-term environmental impact, including the irreversible and irretrievable loss of wetlands and watercourse resources. The building, if approved, will require removal of the large wooded hillside, causing extensive deforestation and vegetation destruction, eventual disappearance of the existing wetlands, destruction of the wildlife habitats and aquatic organisms, alteration of the water flow, potential significant erosion and flooding, and additional pollution. In my view, this certainly constitutes the disturbance of the natural and indigenous character of the land. Town of Fairfield has defined the Cricker Brook, which is immediately adjacent and at the foot of the downhill slope of this 4.7 acre parcel and its tributaries, one of which runs under Bennington Drive and then crosses under Black Rock Turnpike to enter Cricker Brook as a protected watercourse. There are also multiple existing wetlands on the property. I hope that you will weigh on the side of protection of the fragile natural resources with which we as citizens of Fairfield have been endowed. Please might consider my vote to deny the permit on the inland wetland public hearing on March 2nd at 7 p.m. Obviously, there's not going to be a vote today, but that's one representative letter. I'm going to do one more, two more, but one more is from Dr. Malcolm Zola and Miss Marcia Zola. They're at 44 Chambers Lane North in Fairfield, and it's addressed to the Fairfield Conservation Department. I am writing in opposition to the development and erection of the proposed 150-unit apartment building on property at 4480 Black Rock Turnpike. At 4480 Black Rock Turnpike is a narrow two-lane roadway connecting Reading and Fairfield with entry and exit to and from the Merritt Parkway, approximately 100 yards away. Great amount of traffic already exists in the area daily. The addition of work, school, or family traffic from a new 150U development would create continuously congested, unsafe traffic on Black Rock Turnpike and the Merritt ramps. Additionally, an article by Ron Blumenthal discussing water usage appeared in the Fairfield Citizen and was updated online July 10th, 2015. It speaks to the need for, quote, minimizing development in the Fairfield Reservoir watershed, close quote. Property concerned is near Grace Richardson Conservation Area and is directly adjacent to Hoyt Pond. Cricker Brook Stream connects the pond to the Hemlocks Reservoir to the north and to Sampwater Lake to the south. Any debris or unsanitary waste that may occur from such a large concentrated area of people, such as from automotive oils and washings or runoff from paved areas, are potential contaminants of the water to the detriment of the general welfare of Fairfield and Southport populations served. We trust your understanding and agree with our concerns and with full permission for continuation of this development. Sincerely. And then one last one. Again, this is just for the record, so I just want it to be on the record. Okay. Members of the Conservation Department, this is from Mary Beth Clayton. It has been brought to my attention that a permit has been requested to build a 150-unit apartment complex adjacent to Blackrock Turnpike, opposite Greenfield Hunt. I'm deeply concerned about the major negative impacts this would create on the environment in that area. The steep hill, if disturbed, could create flooding and shifting of earth and trees. Any changes to that environment, such as cutting down trees or adding driveways and pathways, could add to the potential for flooding. Beautiful untouched environment around Cricker Brook would cause severe problems for the wildlife in that area. Uprooting animals from their habitats would destroy the beauty of this area. Please turn down the request for an apartment building above Cricker Brook. Please keep this environment free of further development and allow the animals and plants and trees to continue to thrive. You do an outstanding job of keeping the town of Fairfield from being overdeveloped at the risk of chasing away wildlife and causing other problems like flooding and overpopulation. I hope this will continue. Mary Beth Clayton, 40 Palmer Ridge, Fairfield. So those are representative letters. There's a significant amount more. I just wanted you to be aware of them. Since it's being continued, I'm not sure we're at the point now where we can have public comment, but I will, for purposes of, just openness, if anybody has any comments to make, I'll start with in support of the application first. If anybody has any comments in support, I'm sorry, Council, unless you have anything else.
No, it was just to get those comments right, and I appreciate it. That allows us to hopefully address them in this time period, so we can come back.
Right. Sure. Because there's not much. Okay, thank you. Support. No. Anybody in opposition? I hope you heard the letters that I just read into the record. That means we all know what that is, and the record is what we rely on. If you'd like to speak, please come up, speak, state your name and address for the monitor. And if it's about this, please feel free to discuss. So come on up, whoever. So
We're off mute. Virginia Hodgkinson, I'm adjoining property owner of about from Fairfield View. I have 5 major areas of concern. I'll try not to. I've included details that aren't in those letters, and so that's why they make sense.
have anything that you've provided to the staff?
I haven't sent it to the staff. I can give this to the staff after.
It would be great if you can give us a summary of what it is, and if there's detail in the letter, we will have it and the staff will review it. We will provide it also to the applicant.
I'll try to be quick. It's not directly a conservation issue, but I would urge the application be put on hold until verification of the water that is available to the site, which I know you mentioned, but I cannot locate on the drawings any connection to water. The drawings submit a legend that show a solid black line that says water service, but there's no place that I can find it going to the site. When this parcel, this 4.72 acre parcel, was originally divided in 1977, the lot was designated, quote, not a building lot, unquote. And the following statement was included, quote, public water supply and water main extension not guaranteed by the subdivider or the Bridgeport Hydraulic Company. I think we have to resolve this before we spend any more time. Should I continue on other items?
So that is an important issue, but it's not our purview. That might be a zoning or some other part. We are only concerned with inland water and
Right.
So
we can't even get water there. Why should we?
that's not the water we're talking about. That's drinking water.
I'm talking about drinking.
Yeah, we're only concerned about the natural habitat around it, the stream, the
Right.
ponds, the lakes. If you have
So,
anything,
well, I do have in relation to
then
that,
please.
but it doesn't seem that the commission should spend time if they can't even get water to the site. I won't go on that anymore.
It's okay.
What you're saying, but I just, the submitted plans designate at least 11 detention basins. Each of these represent mosquito breeding sites. Particular concern because both West Nile virus and equine encephalitis virus have been identified in Connecticut. I don't need to give more details. I don't. Of the 18 reported test pits that have identified no ledge at depths of 7.5 to 9.3 feet, only 5 are actually within the building footprint. None within a 16,800 square foot area within the rear of the building footprint. None in the proposed driveway from Black Rock Turnpike, and only 1 within one of the 7 proposed retaining walls. It's hard to believe that a 4.7 acre site in this area doesn't have any ledge. Certainly, the proposed removal of approximately 70,000 cubic yards required to flatten the surface may uncover ledge. Blasting in the construction site may not only seriously affect the wetlands, but also the water main and gas lines, which I know you're aware. Should I mention
That
these
I can
things?
tell you that the engineering department pretty much identified those very issues and they're on top of it. So you should know that the engineering department's already identified those things, and Aquarian Water Company also provided a letter that says, as it is now, there are serious concerns with their application. So you're spot on.
I don't need to, the tree removal, I don't need to go into those details.
Well, that's why I read those letters.
I
So-
estimate at least 46 trees are going to have to be removed. Okay, finally, and I know that, again, this is not a conservation issue, but it seems unwise to provide affordable housing in a region that doesn't have buses or stores. Everybody doesn't have a car.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Sir, anybody? Yep. Before you start, I'm just going to ask, can you do a quick, if anybody who's online would like to make any comment that short, but like I just read these letters, so we understand what the issues are. If you'd like to make any short comment that's in addition to the concerns that were raised in the letters that I just read or what these two folks will be saying, please, I guess, line up in the chat box and we'll be able to connect you, I guess. Yes. Okay, thank you.
My name is Russell Jennings. I live at 525 Winnipeg Drive. My objection to this project seems to be out of your scope of responsibility or capacity to rule, but I will show it is relevant to harm of inland wetlands. The sewer department designed sewer capacity to handle 80% of expected input flow. The project plans at 4480 Black Rock Turnpike show a 6-inch sanitary sewer pipe to connect to the 8-inch main in the street. The 8-inch main also handles the effluent from the Bennington Road neighborhood across the street. Downstream, below the Hi-Ho Motel, restaurant, and the planned 2-story medical office building on the former plant factory site, the sewer line becomes a 12-inch pipe buried beneath Cricker Brook. To the 12-inch main are added an additional hundreds of houses, some 24 streets in the watershed. The 12-inch line goes through Lake Hill's open space where it crosses the river right where the river enters St. Water Lake. At that point, the sewer department confirms that the sewage main is 10 inches, not 12, in diameter. They offered me no reason why this is so, and indeed, I'm surprised the drawings show that it is a 10-inch main.
I appreciate the information, sir, but it has to be germane to wetland.
I'm going to connect it.
Excellent. Thank you.
There are many manholes in the wetlands, some not 12 feet from the water courses. If the addition of, I heard 90 some odd, and I just heard 100 some odd apartments on Black Rock Turnpike cause an overcapacity or blockage, as happens several times a year in Fairfield, Mill River, Cricker Brook, and the lake will be contaminated. The second concern is the elevation of the site chosen for the proposed building, which the young lady also cited. The elevation varies from the wetlands to a height point of some 75 feet. I couldn't tell because the drawings that they submitted in the plan were so shrunk, but it is a great difference in the elevation. The application shows that soil test holes were limited and not deep enough to see if there's solid rock beneath. If blasting is required to level the site of the proposed building, that jeopardizes the two aging 30-inch water mains from Hemlock Reservoir that run nearby. Those of us old enough remember in 1978, Cruise Construction ruptured one of those water mains under Black Rock Turnpike while they were trying to install the sanitary sewer line. And about 20 years ago, one of the mains ruptured on its own, nearly washing out the foundations of two houses and sending truckloads of upland soil into the wetlands and into Cricker Brook. Does the current town plan or the revising town plan now under consideration allow for this kind of development above the parkway? Our streams and wetlands are threatened by overburdening the infrastructure, the current infrastructure, inadequate to handle the addition of one building holding as many units as an entire neighborhood on 4 acres of land north of the parkway. The area is unsuited and unready for such density. I respectfully ask that you deny this application. The professional at the sewer department said he was going to review that anomaly of the 12-inch going into a 10-inch, and I asked him to share that with you. I don't know how far he got. It took me a month to get the information that I have here.
Bring us know, we'll put it in the record and we'll have a follow-up, please. Thank you. Thank you. What else? Well, hold on, just.
See. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Laura Devlin. I am a state representative for the town of Fairfield. I also live at 85 Brett Lane and know this area very well. I am really happy to hear the letters that you have received today, because I would like to add my voice in also supporting the concerns that have been raised by not just the abutters, but by many people throughout our community. And what's most troubling to me is certainly with the clearance of this vast amount of property and the impact that that will have in terms of habitat, but also then the greater impact in terms of stormwater runoff and drainage. That's a real concern. I won't trouble you with the aspect of the driveway directly across from Greenfield Hunt with 150 potential apartments and significant amount of the building designated to parking. But that's just a whole nother concern. But I didn't want to miss this opportunity to at least add another voice of encouraging you to not support this forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, please.
I'm Bill Hodgkinson, the other half of Virginia Hodgkinson, budding landowner. But I'm talking tonight on behalf of a member of our community who can't be here tonight, but he did put together, he's studied this situation very carefully. And I asked him, he sent a letter to the commission, and I asked him if I couldn't please read this in the public forum because it contains very interesting information. Gordon McKenzie. I'm a resident of Greenfield Hunt. Our entrance exit road, Bennington Drive, would be directly opposite the planned road leading to the proposed development. I have studied the proposed plans and I'm deeply concerned of the scope of the development in terms of cubic yards of excavation. Now, there seems to be a disagreement whether it's 50 or 70,000 cubic yards or 90,000 cubic yards. I based my comments on minimum 50,000 cubic yards. And the effect this will have, effectively shaving off the top of a hill to accommodate this project. Chances are excellent that this will have a serious impact on the wetlands and on Black Rock Turnpike. Heavy storms, both of these could be overwhelmed by water.
This is a letter that we do have in the record. And, that was the purpose of me reading the three representative letters. I all read these letters, and I just wanted to, for the record, point out that we received them, and I have Gordon McKenzie's letter here. I understand that it's the building and the size of the building and the pervious surfaces that are going to be there. And I'd like to say that it's part of the record. If there's some other.
May I make some comments on some of his points, please? Sure. I'll just confine myself to the comments. My comments. So a minimum excavation would be 50,000. He said cubic feet, it's cubic yards. And I tried to imagine how much is 50,000 cubic yards. I went to, I Googled it. And apparently 50,000 cubic yards is the equivalent, would spread out over 30 acres at 1 foot deep. The big dump trucks, 6 or 10 wheel dump trucks that you see around big construction sites hold about 10 cubic yards.
147 trucks.
Say again?
Engineering report gave us, town engineering, I think, gave us a report that said for that amount, it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,800 trucks that would have to remove that.
I think that's right on.
We're aware of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I wasn't aware that you were aware. The other thing that sort of astounds is that on top of the effect this will have on erosion and runoff to Black Rock Turnpike and the wetlands is the fact that the 1.55 acres under the plans that you have would be new impervious surfaces. I guess that's pavement of some kind or another. And surely this would produce a major change in the volume and the velocity of water coming off that hill, coming off that property. I think the issues that have to do with wetlands and water flow really are monstrous. My comments are not against affordable housing per se. I think it's fair and it makes sense, but it's got to be done in the right parts of town. We have too much to lose here. Our little community is fragile if you consider where it is, and it's diverse. There are people in this area, their houses are back off the roads. You probably have never seen them and are not aware of them. Sure. They're probably below the poverty line. They can't afford to get up here and fight for rights. They can't afford to hire a lawyer they can't afford to hire a fancy consultant to put the stamp of approval on this. I think the other thing that Gordon mentions and does bear repeating is that, lost my train of thought. Is that we should probably, and I think this was mentioned at your previous meeting, one of the commissioners mentioned this. This project is so profound and has such profound consequences. We should consider seriously hiring an outside consultant, which the town will pay for.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have a full application before us yet. Discussion from the public, which I appreciate them coming out tonight, is really not the purpose of this commission. A lot of things that are being said. So I don't think us being in public comment part of the application says that we should hold all our comments till that point.
So the applicant has described to us that the application that's with us isn't fully complete. They will have an opportunity to resolve or address some of the issues that many of the letters and that you are bringing up now. So my intent of letting folks speak was simply to kind of, I think, so that the public knows we hear what you're saying by the letters we got. But if it's going to go into further detail, there's going to be a public hearing in the future. And at that time, there'll be a full record from the applicant on what will be the final application, what will be presented. For purposes of tonight, it was more of a global understanding that we have gotten the record. We've seen the letters, the emails that came to us. And there will be another, we're not voting on anything tonight. This application has been continued. And we do have some further business, but I would like, if somebody has anything that pertains specifically to wetlands and water courses, and not zoning issues or 830G issues, I really would like you to speak if you'd like to, but really specifically to that. And then you'll have another opportunity with more information that the applicant will provide. It's all public. So I would like, I'd like for you to finish and specifically stay on topic for wetlands and water.
Okay. I really appreciate your listening to us. I'm sorry we misunderstood. We thought this project had advanced a little more than it has. But we look forward to coming back. More information is available and available to us so that we can really look at this very carefully. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to alert you that there are folks in the chat who would like to speak.
Thank you. Let me just, before you start, sir, will there be anybody else here that will want to speak after this gentleman? Okay. Then, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi. Mr. Thomas, hi. My name is Neil Goodkind, 25 Old Black Rock Turnpike. I live in the Lake Hills area, which, we're always concerned about the water quality. We're always concerned about Cricker Brook and everything that was mentioned here, which I appreciate you giving the time for everyone to speak on this. One thing, I understand I will have a chance to speak once we've seen the application. We'll all have a chance to speak on the specifics at that time. I was coming over here and I heard about this fairly recently. I've looked at the agenda. I looked for the agenda on the Conservation Commission agendas and attachments, and I don't see it there. I don't see a posting of it. The last agenda is 2/16/22. So I would appreciate it if that were updated.
I want to make clear that we are sitting tonight as the Inland Wetlands Agency. That's its own website or link, not the Conservation Commission. We're acting as the Inland Wetlands. So
Okay.
you would have to
I'll
go to a different.
be over there.
Okay.
And if not, I'll take it up with you.
Sure, you can call the staff.
Let us know if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
How many are on how many are folks are waiting on?
You have one,
One?
one that I'm pointing at right now.
Okay, well, please come on up and then we'll take the one online. And thank you for being patient online. Hi.
Hi, thank you for your time. Melissa Longo, I'm District 1. I also live at 3791 Congress Street. And I'm here to show support for the community. And we moved into this area about 3 years ago, and everything that everyone is saying, and just want to say, we're representing them, and that this is an issue, wetlands issue is very concerning for myself as well, and really hope that at the next time that you all have received everything in the full application, that we really are, it's really nice that you are hearing us and allowing this. I know it wasn't public comment prior to this issue coming up, and it does mean a lot for a lot of the residents here to be able to get up and speak, even though it might be a little bit repetitive. So just wanted to say thank you for your patience. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you. Thank you. Will we be able to hear the individual there?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello.
So
can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Roger?
Yes, that's me. Hi. Thanks for
State
the
your
opportunity
name
to
and
speak.
address, please.
Sure. My name is Roger Schulman. This is my wife, Elizabeth Vieno, and we live at 125 Cricker Brook Lane. And I think the address is important. We're not engineers or scientists. We're not in construction, but we have a very, very close look at Cricker Brook every single day and the wetlands surrounding it. My wife was raised in Cape Cod, and I was raised on the southern shore of Brooklyn. We know what can happen to wetlands when they are not taken care of, when they're fragile things, and we don't live here alone. We live here with our neighbors, animals of every type. We see hundreds of different types of birds and mammals. We see everything from deer to bobcats to bears. There's no way that once impacted, these things come back. You see it happen over and over and over again. There's no compromise when it comes to wetlands. It's like trying to unring a bell. So we've become very concerned. We only just heard about it. We're educating ourselves as fast as we can about exactly what this is about. But we just know what a 150 unit apartment that requires dynamite to level a hill will do this close to a reservoir right in the middle of wetlands. That's the home to so many different diverse creatures. So I really appreciate that there is a body that exists that allows this kind of thinking to be expressed and these feelings to be brought across, so that we don't just let these things go by, So thanks very much.
Just to say, the entire back of our house is Cricker Brook. We see it right from the backyard, and like my husband said, we see barn owls, I see turtles, bobcat, fox, turkeys, deer, bear. It's glorious. It's absolutely pristine and beautiful, and it would just be tragic for something to happen to this beautiful area.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and again, for the record, this was really just an opportunity. I thought it would be okay to let folks speak, and we'll have another hearing. At that point, it'll be much more formal. Be clear. It'll be a motion. The applicant will provide his information, and the record, people sending in their letters, whether in opposition or in favor of it, we will receive it. And then at that point, it'll probably be a little bit more Robert's rules, if you will. It'll be a little bit more focused because it'll have to, it'll be empirical evidence that'll be required because we have regulations and rules that we have to abide by. Okay, so there's a bit of a reprieve, if you will. The applicant has some things that he's got to do. And once that information comes to us, it'll be available to the public and you'll be able to review it. Okay. Thank you, folks. Did it right? Did we?
We need a motion.
We need a motion to continue. Okay, well, then we motion?
Yep.
Second? Anyone? Second?
Second,
Okay,
second.
you know what? It happens a second. Yeah. Thanks, Dabney. Okay, so all in favor, I think, right? Yes, aye. Okay. Right, so I'm also going to, were we eight, Roman 8, I'm gonna push that off because now we have supplemental.
Sometimes.
So now this, again, it's the supplemental inland wetlands meeting agenda. And it's, again, for Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022, 7 o'clock. Folks, our meeting isn't over yet. If you guys can go out into the hallway, we have more business. So you can either hang out or you can feel free to go out into the hallway to discuss. Oh, yes.
I just wanted to apologize. It's on, the agenda
Is there? Okay.
Especially with the report that just came out. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Very good.
Luke, do you need a motion to go into supplemental?
Not going to executive session.
No, it's just an addition. It's an addition to. All right, let's do it just in case.
No, I think we've always done it as a motion.
We have the 11th edition. We can look it up.
Somebody give me a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Anybody second?
I'll make a motion.
To go? Okay, very good. All in favor? Aye. So now this is going in. I called the order. Same, there's been no changes. It's me, Dabney, Richard, Terry, Brian, Jay, Amanda is here, and Peter is sitting as a full member. We have the middle of the deliberative session, and now it's a new business. 1, appeal of certificate of wetlands conformance, WP-22-103, Monroe Re LLC, 3236 Congress Street, Fairfield. Proposal to repair drainage system and install somebody. Install pipe in a regulated area. So this is a certificate of wetlands conformance was issued by Tim, and I guess there's an appeal under our regulations. An individual can appeal, and who's the proponent or the appellant who would like to?
Is the floor open for testimony on the appeal?
Yes. So can you state your name?
Yes, my name is Tom McManus. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard. Just to be clear, and I'm sorry, I don't want to waste anybody's time. This is to discuss 3236 Congress and the proposed stormwater system adjustment or correction, right?
Well, it has to be an appeal of our officers issuing the certificate of wetlands conformance. So I would need to hear your reason for the appeal.
Yes, I actually have a very clear argument. I, in fact, did work in the septic industry at one point, and I can tell you that looking at this chart here, there are septic tanks adjacent to the stormwater recharge infiltrators. They are, it's very close to it. And it includes yes?
So what is the reason of the appeal? We need to know what the reason is.
The reason of the appeal is that that the pump out location is set to be, as per the chart, it's the outlet for those. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. the outlet, the discharge of the stormwater is set to be discharged into the wetlands, okay? Part of this plan includes stormwater recharge infiltrators, okay? Those infiltrators are adjacent to a septic tank with a pump out, okay? So we're pumping out septic water uphill to leaching fields. This property was approved based on a property of precedence. And that property of precedence is at the address of 4535 Congress Street. 4535 Congress Street currently has a failing septic system where the leaching fields are blowing out. I'm sure the Conservation Department is very aware of that property as well. So what we're looking at here.
Ask what's the reason for the appeal of our officer's decision and not your technical testimony?
Our officer issued a certificate of wetlands conformance. This appeal should only address what our officer did. What was wrong in him granting that? So is there?
Well, so it is clear that pumping out septic wastewater would not be into wetlands would not be conforming, and that's exactly what will occur at this location.
Where does the septic wastewater come in your picture?
This, do you have access to the map, to the chart that proposes the work?
It's my understanding that this is just a drainage issue, right? Is it just a drainage
Do
issue?
you have access to the chart?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
What they're appealing is the outlet pipe, the UGG detention.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is,
So as this
Under
proposal.
our regulation, there's provision where if you get a certain amount of signatures, you can escalate and I don't have it right, but I can find it. You can escalate. I think it's at the discretion of the agency. I have to check a summary judgment into a plenary judgment.
So here's what it is. Under section 12.1, we are authorized as an agency to authorize an agent. Our agent is Tim, or Sarah, I guess in certain situations too. Well, and then they have the ability, because we've delegated this authority to them, to approve with conditions, modify, or extend any application for certificate of wetlands conformance pursuant to section 6.4. So we're at section 6.4, and the eligible activities for certificate of wetlands conformance, it has to be not reasonably likely or significantly to disturb the natural indigenous character of the land, and that the conduct of such activity would result in no greater than a minimal impact on any wetland watercourse. It has to have that. And if it's specified in this case, it's category 2, are located within one parcel of land, wholly or partially contained within a regulated area. Then the following activities may be conducted in the following situations with a certificate of wetlands conformance categories. Roman numeral number 2 is the construction of an addition to the construction of an addition to an existing commercial, industrial, or non-residential building, or the construction or renovation of improvements located on a commercial, industrial, non-residential lot. So I'm assuming that's what occurred here. There was a pipe broke, and there was construction that was done. It was an emergency nature, but it didn't go under an emergency thing. They called you out, Tim, you looked at it, and you did what you did, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but my question is, we're discussing the appeal just of that.
That's it.
That's it.
So
I
what
don't
was
understand
wrong
why,
with this?
I don't know why this isn't being expanded, is what I'm saying.
Well, there's a provision under I guess it's 6.4 or C, by any person receiving a notice of intent to approve and issue a certificate of wetlands conformance, such designated shall within 10 days of the notice. I think there's a avenue for people to appeal.
Yes.
I think that's
And
it.
that's why we're here.
No, but
Up to
no,
us to make the decision whether we want to hear it.
no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the appeal is based on the work that's only being done, not on the adjacent properties and this property and everything. It's just for this
It's just
work
for,
here.
it's not even, it's just for what Tim.
Tim, right.
Oh, here,
Right.
do that.
Yeah,
Correct,
right.
correct. No, but what I'm saying is I think the appellant
Yeah.
is expanding
Expanding it. That's
what
I agree.
we're supposed to be discussing. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
So I'm going to try to focus your,
Yes.
even though you should be doing it for us, but based on what I just read, if you have it in sections 6.4, specifically 6.4, and then A with the bullet points, and then 2, if there's something that doesn't comply with that, I think that would be the basis of your appeal. If it complies with that, it's going to be hard for you, I think. But you got to make your case to us why
Yes.
our agent did something incorrect.
Well, I appreciate the guidance of the commission here in proper procedure. And thank you for reading that out to me earlier. But it seems to me that it's, first off, this is a new expanded system here with the new outlet pipe that is proposed to lead directly into wetlands to a new outlet. It says directly on this proposal outlet, new outlet pipe, and it leads directly into the wetlands. Okay, that is new and expanded. What it leads from, and this is, you know, in practical terms here, that it leads from recharge infiltrators, right? So that's where the stormwater will collect. But where the stormwater will collect is immediately adjacent to a septic tank with a pump out chamber, okay, that has to bring the septic water up to leaching fields, uphill, all right? This property has been approved based on a precedent property at 4536 Congress Street. So they are both expected to have the exact same usage. The usage at 4535 Congress Street is resulting in a failing septic system that is extremely problematic, and I'm sure that the town is very aware of it, that it's requiring regular pump out every few days because the leaching fields are blowing out. So what I'm looking at in this chart is, as part of this new design field, is we're going to be linking up a septic system that has to force water uphill, that is not going to be able to accommodate the same exact practices as what this is precedent property undergoes, and we're going to be pumping it directly into wetlands. I mean, it's kind of mind blowing.
Factual statement.
Relevant.
I'm gonna have to stop there for a second because you keep talking about septic.
Yes.
So I'm not sure where that comes into the picture when we're only dealing with drainage of one pipe and it's natural water. I'm going to ask commissioners, are you seeing something different than me?
No.
Okay. So, sir, I'm going to ask you to restrict your comments specifically to the construction of that one pipe and what happened, why it should not have been approved by our agent.
Because that pipe will now bring water from the recharge infiltrators directly into the wetlands. Okay, if that pipe didn't exist, then the septic, which is a real issue, and that has to be concerning for an inland wetlands discussion. All right, this property is purely approved on another property that has a failing system. So we are going to have septic directly pumped into these wetlands by this new proposed pipe.
Thank you. Tim, can you?
Yeah, if I might chime in.
Yeah,
Thank
put
you.
in mind.
I don't have your name there, it just says
Tom
Tia.
McManus.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, if I might, it seems to me that we're dealing with two separate issues here. You're describing septic in the location of the stormwater infiltrators on the northern side of the main residence where the pipe connection was made. The stormwater infiltrators, detention system is where the pipe connection was for a high water flow. The septic and leaching system, I could scale it out, is in the northeastern corner of the parcel. I mean, at least 200 or 300 feet away. So just because septic tanks transfer and pump wastewater to the 300-400 feet away in the northeast corner has no hydraulic connection from a closed tank system and interaction with stormwater. So from what it sounds to me, you're talking about two separate issues. Had the septic leaching field been closer to the stormwater infiltrators, I would say you would have a case of commingling groundwater in the subsurface. But I would point that out, that we're dealing with clean stormwater versus contaminated or bioremediated septic wastewater are two separate issues on this parcel. And this pipe that was installed for high water flow is only based on high level, high capacity stormwater that would enter these chambers during large rain events. So this is an intermittent discharge of clean stormwater or clean, stormwater to a wetland area on the parcel, completely separate from septic or leachate.
Okay. Sorry, Tim, do you have more to say?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Tim, what is your role again? You are the engineer?
The conservation director?
I'm sorry, apologies for not knowing.
He's the conservation director, and he's the individual who actually issued the certificate of wetland conformance. So
Okay.
what our role now is, based on your appeal, is you have to tell us what he did wrong or why he shouldn't have done what he did. And then we, as a commission, would then vote on whether we agree with him, we agree with you, or we say, well, we want to hear it all over again, file an, or not make you, make the, this property applicant file a new application. So if you have anything further to supplement your appeal, please
Yes,
let us know. Or if not, we can vote.
Respectfully, just a little bit more. Tim, in sending, the leaching fields are uphill 300 yards or whatever that distance is to the northeast corner of the property. But the septic pump chamber has to get it uphill to get to that location, right? Now, as an engineer or as a conservation director, you can see that if leaching fields.
Just to go on record, I'm not an engineer.
Okay, all right, apologies. As a conservation director, you can understand that if leaching fields fail, as they did in the precedent property, that would prevent the water from the wastewater from being sent to the leaching fields and sitting in the septic tank and pump chamber. That will then.
That's not, sir.
Yes.
There's a few people here in the audience, and I think they're all part of this petition or this appeal. So if you wouldn't mind wrapping up so I can have some people here speak as well.
Yeah, yes. I mean, in conclusion, I strongly urge the conservation, if anybody in this town cares about the capacity usage and the impact to wetlands, I really hope it is this committee here, this commission, because this is a real risk. And I urge you to deny this new outlet pipe to send outlet directly to wetlands.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak that's here from the public?
Thank you. So I would like to speak on the same matter, and you outlined 3 options. I would wholeheartedly encourage you to select option 3, which would be to request a, refile or resubmit to you. I totally understand where Mr. McManus was coming from and whether or not this is, part of the purview specifically, which is one of the petitioners we felt was. So if that is
Laura,
part
can
of-
I just interrupt and say, Laura, can you just introduce yourself again for the record and your address, please?
Yes, my name is Laura Devlin. I am a state representative. I am also a resident in the neighborhood at 85 Brett Lane. So if that is off the table, and I also understand his pointing out the property at 4536 Congress Street, which is another high use, not a residential facility that does have a failed septic system that is environmentally very concerning. But my other question then, I guess, looking at the diagram, and so this is your map, and I'm looking at it a lot smaller, it would just be a concern that if I understand it correctly from what you've been trying to describe, Tim, is that this pump infiltration, which is identified here, sort of near the pool, beyond the screen porch. Thank you. And then you're basically, that water is being pumped back into the wetlands, correct?
Correct.
So,
Intermittently.
well, whenever there's a significant storm, which at that point is also where you're getting significant water in the wetlands anyway. I mean, I have wetlands in my backyard. I understand that we have vernal pools. And when there is a whole lot more rain, there's obviously a difference, but we're not repumping more water back into this whole same area, which to me would also just raise concerns from a conservation perspective of what we're doing falsely to that conservation area.
Well, this is topography, as you know, is westerly. And intermittent water, I see no problem with, if it was full-time discharge, maybe we would take that into consideration, but intermittent overflow for emergency purposes to prevent a property and health and safety concern, I don't see any reason to not add intermittent stormwater to an existing wetland in the upland area.
So I just remind you, as you are likely very well aware of the significant rains that we have had, the significant storms that we have had, and many of them haven't been necessarily so intermittent. But I would just add that as a potential concern and still encourage you to choose option 3. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments for or against, either online or here?
I'd like to say
Okay.
something.
Yes.
Hi, it's Veronica Monahan. I'm a resident at 635 Galloping Road. I would just like to go on record by saying that a lot of these properties have wetlands on them or are in wetland setbacks. And I don't think that we are properly looking at the number of people using these group homes or a purported group homes on a daily basis with a staff ratio to.
It's almost immaterial what this building is. This has to specifically address the type.
Can I finish, please, before you say that?
Sure.
I think it's important that we note how many people are using these properties on a daily basis and what the ramifications are on not only that property, but adjoining properties and also the conservation areas. So if there's a staff to client ratio of 1 to 5, and you have 40 people using a home on a weekly basis, there's substantial usage on these septic systems, and they're not designed for commercial use. When there's a property that has conservation easements on it, or if there's wetlands or wetland setbacks, I think it's really important that this group look at those, look at that as being a very important reason why these properties should not exist in residential areas. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll make a comment. I want to be clear about what we need to do, what we as the Inland Wetlands Agency, what our job is, what we're allowed to do. In this particular appeal, it is somewhat confined, and it's the appellant needs to come before us to say that what our agent, our director, did was not within the rules, not within what he was allowed to do. And it's almost, unfortunately, immaterial of what the background of this particular property is. We're specifically focused in on, there was an event of water going into a basement. They needed a pipe and a system to get that water out, and that water was rainwater. Our agent went there, looked at it, signed off on it, and now we're here. We heard what everybody had to say, and now the next step for us, as I mentioned, will be one of the commissioners here will give me a motion to do one of three things. It's sustain what our director did, or sustain it with conditions, or reject it, or ask the applicant to ask these folks to put a full application in. So I think at this time, I'll entertain a motion. What's the motion?
Motion is to approve the work that Mr. Bishop did and deny the appeal.
Okay, will I have a second for that?
I'll second.
You'll second, Mr. Fain? All in favor? Aye.
I'm still
Recused.
I'm choosing
Three.
Dabney,
Dabney's,
Dabney voting.
I don't know what, Dabney, are you recusing?
I think she's
We have to
muted.
wait.
Star six.
Dial *6.
Sorry about that.
Okay,
I believe that if the public has a continued concerns about this property, then we have an obligation to investigate it further.
okay. So you're voting no or abstaining?
I'm voting no.
So who was yes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 yeses and it passes. So that was to sustain Tim's issuance.
Yes, one no, one abstention.
One abstention, yeah. To sustain Tim's issuance of the certificate of wetlands. Okay. Now, do I need a motion to get out the supplements? Ready? Motion to get out of the
Make a
supplement?
motion to go back to regular.
Yeah, go back to it. Okay, Jerry, second, anybody second that? Second, okay. Left. We're going to go back to Roman numeral 5, the 2 monthly wetland business update for the agency. Do we have anything?
Nothing new,
Nothing?
just that we started the new building permit online.
Online.
Thing, but just so that they know the numbers have changed slightly. So when you look at the list of what we've done, they're gonna have new numbers.
Okay. Then,
Tim can talk more about the program and other, but I just wanted to let you know.
okay, well, that's where we're,
Has changed.
then that's where we're next. Next is Roman numeral 8 and other. Do we have any other?
I gave my comments to Tim regarding the updated regulations. We're still working on that.
Have that under other, like to wrap that up internally, and get that, continue that moving forward for the next meeting.
Okay.
following up on what Sarah mentioned, we are close to going live. As you know, building department is fully live, except for no more paper applications. So we, conservation are next on the list, which I anticipate in the next few weeks. And then we will begin the process of no longer accepting paper applications over the counter. Everything will be fully online through City Square. And again, to reiterate what Sarah said, you may see some difference in permit numbers, permit application numbers based on that transitioning to the online system.
Will we still be able to get hard copies of the application?
Yeah, I guess that would be up for discussion how, at least for now, I think during the transition period, and then we'll work with internally and IT to, have live links similar to this. Eventually, I'm not sure what the output on the online system will be. So that may phase out or be on a as requested basis or something like that. But that could be down the line for discussion.
Well, let me ask, is it just the applications or also the maps and everything?
Yeah, everything is going, maps, site plans, all of that's gonna require the applicant to upload onto the City Square system. So that's why I'm not sure what the output and the accessibility is on our end with the software, which we Mr. Kelly questioned.
Okay.
But that could be.
If there's any way that, I don't need copies of all the applications, but I like to look at the plans, spread them out in front of me and write on them. I can't really focus. I can't get the whole picture on the screen.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't expect that to change anytime soon, as we transition, but that would be up for future discussion, what people have a preference for.
Yeah.
Two more items, if anyone else needs, if they've been moving through the DEP, municipal wetlands training course, if you need any assistance or resubmit the link, feel free to let the department know. I completed it again for the third time last week. It was similar to the 2020 version that I took last time. So not many changes there. And lastly, based on tonight's activities, does anyone seem prudent to schedule a site walk at Black Rock pending either immediately or after the
We need to get a stake.
applicant stakes it out?
It has to be staked. I went there today. It's not decipherable the way it is.
Well, may I ask who's gone? I know I've gone, you've gone. Okay.
Do we want to site walk as a group after it's staked, or just leave it as is, everyone's comfortable?
I
Because I can know.
think it would be very beneficial to have everybody there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dabney, Brandon, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we should walk it again once it's staked. I went out yesterday and it really isn't clear.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be a while at that point.
Right. Okay. So when we have more information from the applicant, then I'll circle back and we'll issue a public notice for public meeting on site.
Okay.
All right, great. That's all I have said.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion, second, there we go. All in favor? Aye. Yay.